Light this bad boy, Mr. V.
Not a problem, brother. Trick to it is, once you've got that firelight on there, you just basically turn it. So you just
Mm.
keep turning it. Just keep turning it. That should be good. And then just there you go. Just yeah. And now remember, you don't want to inhale that shit.
Yeah, I've already made that mistake about 5 times up to this point. It's a very unusual thing.
Nah, man. Like I said,
Crazy.
yeah, brother. No doubt, no doubt. I don't even know when I got into cigars, man. I think it's the whiskey. Like when I started like sampling different kinds of whiskey, one dude was like, "Hey, I'll pimp you on game. Let's try this out." I was like, "Okay." Tried it, and you can actually. What some people will do is they'll actually dip it. You'll dip the side that you,
Yeah.
and then you've got the kind of the whiskey flavor with the cigar.
Mm.
That's pretty dope, actually.
Yeah,
I
I'm gonna
won't
give
lie.
that I'm gonna give that a whirl.
I won't lie. Yeah, it's just a
If
simple
you're gonna
dip.
try it, you might as well try it right.
Dude, nah, for real.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. It brings out
Okay.
that flavor, man.
Oh yeah.
You got the little bit of the tobacco, and then you got like Buffalo Trace, which is always a good whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
It always seems to work with just like good whiskeys. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I've tried it with like Crown, not the same effect.
Oof. Yeah. Don't get me started on Crown.
Oh yeah.
That was my first mistake. That was the first that's the first alcohol I'd ever had.
Crown?
Yeah. Crown Royal Apple.
Oh, yeah. I see. That's where you made your mistake, brother.
Mm-hmm. I was.
You went.
I was still a senior in high school, so 17,
Mm-hmm.
and a buddy of mine had stole a bottle from the liquor store because we were all underage,
Uh-huh.
and it was the handle, so the huge fucking one, and I had never drank before. I was smoking weed at the time, so I figured, what's the worst that can happen? And 42 shots of Crown Royal Apple later, and a bunch of weed.
42.
42
Oh, hell
between
no.
3 people. We had killed half the bottle,
Hell
half
no.
the handle
No.
in a night.
No.
And I remember sitting out on the balcony and getting emotional with my little brother and smoking weed and man, I love you. And then sat down on the couch and sat there for a while, closed my eyes because I was
Yeah.
drunk off my ass.
Yeah.
And then just threw up all over myself. And from then on out, I smell Crown Apple and I'm like, PTSD.
I don't mess with it, man. I don't mess with it. You know, when it comes to whiskeys, anything sweet, yeah, no. It's one of two
Yeah,
things is going to
sweet is
happen.
bad.
Yeah. Either you're going to have a headache from drinking that shit, or you're going to wake up the next day and hate your life.
Mm-hmm.
Headaches, hangovers, yeah, no. It's got to be just good whiskey. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing sweet. That's how I do it.
Mm-hmm. See, I've even learned that with Screwball. It's a good time and it tastes good.
Isn't Screwball that sweet stuff?
Peanut butter whiskey.
No. No, I don't think I've tried Screwball.
I would give it a try just to see what you think of it.
Yeah.
But goddamn, I have a bottle of it in the fridge. If you really wanted to try it, like I got really plastered drinking that shit, and I can't do it anymore. I'll go out to the bar and I'll get a shot, and I'm like, God, I can't do this because I normally just go in when I get whiskey, double shot on the rocks.
That's it.
That's
That's
the
it.
best way to do it.
See, I guess what throws me off is the peanut butter part. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
to me, peanut butter, and it's not that I don't like, mix my foods, but peanut butter is supposed to be on bread, PB&J, all that good stuff. And then you come at me with the peanut butter whiskey. And, I can't knock it till I try it, but just
You definitely already have that premonition
Yeah,
where you're
man.
like, this is not going to be what I want it to
Just
be.
thinking about it, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I want this spoiling whiskey for me. I don't think it will. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like sushi. I've never
Ooh, see now we're not speaking the same language because I can't do fucking sushi.
Well, I've never tried sushi. You know what I'm saying? And people are always like, "You got to try it," and I'm like, "Why?" I'm like,
Yeah, what fucking reason do I have?
No. You know, I don't mind seafood, but like cooked seafood is where I'm at. You know what I'm saying?
And they do definitely have sushi that's cooked. But if you ask anybody that knows anything about sushi, they all say, "No, you don't get fucking cooked sushi.
No,
It's got to be totally raw." And I'm like, "No,
yeah,
I don't even like my steaks like rare." What the fuck
Sean,
makes
the
you
steak
think?
man.
What the fuck makes you think that I want something that is literally they cut up dead in the back?
It's still moving, man.
And yay,
It's still moving while they do it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then you got some of the raw fish that, you know, you watch some of these channels where they do all this stuff and they're talking about, oh yeah, if you don't do this correctly and you eat it, it'll kill you. And then I'm like, wait. So not only is it raw, but if the dude who's preparing this or the lady doesn't do it right, like my ass is dead.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, man.
Yep.
You know, I'd rather take risks on other things. You know what I mean?
Something you know is already good. Yeah, I'm right there with you.
I'd rather try some screwball versus some sushi.
Yeah, I'm a very particular person. If I haven't had it before, I most of the time I won't try it. It took me, I didn't try avocado until about 2 months ago.
2 months ago?
About 2 months ago.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. You can ask Ziggy.
Just because you just
because I'm so set in my ways that I really won't. Like if you ask the people that know me very well, a lot of the time they're like, "What do you want for dinner?" "I want spaghetti." "What do you want for dinner the next day?" "Well, I have about 5 meals that are my constant rotation."
Your go-tos.
Yeah, and I like my order at fast food chains has been the same for the last probably 16 years of my life.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I can respect that though. You know what I mean? Because there's something to be said about how you like things. You know what I mean? Because those type of decisions, like whether it's food or whatever it is, like you're used to what you were used to. Like your palate's used to what it's used to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's cool because I think it's one of those things where people can't sway you this way or that way, especially the people that know you. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that goes on through life. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, this is a decision I'm making. This is what I'm doing. I want to buy a house. I'm not stopping till I buy a house. I want to buy that car. I ain't stopping till I buy that car. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. A relentless pursuit.
It's kind of like what you see is what you get, you know?
Yeah, there's no backdoor shenanigans.
No, man. And those are the kind of people I'd rather deal with, where it's straight up, right? I know what Sean's about. I know what pisses Sean off. I know what makes Sean happy. I know what he doesn't appreciate. And I know where I stand with that person versus, you know, someone who's wishy-washy, who never really makes decisions, tells you, you know.
Yeah, you're in a constant state of question.
Right, and you don't know how to.
Yeah, where to move, what's your next
how do I
plan
navigate
is.
this? You know what I'm saying? Just because they're, I guess the word would be indecisive, you know. So being decisive is a trait that that I think is very much appreciated as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, and you wonder when you sit in a state of indecisiveness how much time you waste trying to figure out and get to a point where you know what you want.
Right. And usually you never get to a point where you figure out what you want, right? Because if you're indecisive, all it takes is what? 5-10 people giving you different opinions, right? And at that point, you're not making a decision or following your own opinion. Now you're basing your decision and opinions on what you think everyone else wants you to base your...
Yeah, conforming. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
It's definitely like a sense of conformity for sure.
And that never ends well. You know what I'm saying? Because when shit hits the fan, those same people who are giving you that advice...
Gone in the wind. Gone. You're left being pissed off at nobody but yourself. And only then is that where you really start to get an insight into, okay, I need to start making decisions by myself, for myself.
It's about number one, man. You got to take care of number one. You know what I mean? And like we were talking earlier, I've gotten to a stage in my life where I realize that there's a time to be cool with people. There's a time to, you know, be sociable and all that stuff. But then more importantly, there's also a time and that you need to make time to actually be selfish. What I mean by that is take care of yourself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's taking time off of work, whether it's going on a damn walk, whether it's reading a book, whatever. Just some time you set aside every day, not just every weekend or whatnot, every day, you know, regardless of hustle and bustle and everything you got going on, you need to take that time to take care of yourself, because you wake up one day and you realize that you're 40 years old. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And you haven't taken the time to take care of you. You're taking care of everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And they appreciate that. But now you're still stuck where you were.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And I've realized over time that a lot of the people that you end up taking care of, they appreciate it, but they're not going to go out to they're not going to go down the same path that you did for them, for you.
Nah. Now, people are inherently selfish, brother.
Mm-hmm.
That's just, whether people like to hear that or not, you got to be real. You got to be 100. People are selfish. And people will always force what they want to see happen either on other people because they can't do it themselves. So it's almost like living vicariously through someone else. I mean, you see it with, these parents who force their kids to play sports.
Yep.
And their kids,
they can't play.
Suck at sports.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They go and buy them all the fanciest gear, and basically you can tell the kid jumps on the field or the court or whatever it is, the kid's not happy.
No, he doesn't even want to be there.
No.
I played football with a lot of kids like that.
Yeah.
I can remember vividly growing up a certain kid that he was so hell-bent on not playing the sport. You breathed on him sideways. Oh, I'm hurt. Oh, I can't play. Take me out of the game, because he just didn't want to play.
Right.
But his dad, like you said, wanted to live vicariously through him because he couldn't play, and he thought, you know what, if I do this the right way, maybe he'll play. And it's really crazy.
You got to let kids be kids, brother. You know what I mean? You got to let them screw up. You got to let them fuck up. You got to let them figure stuff out on their own, Like, you touch something that's hot, let him touch it. I guarantee you he's not going to touch that shit ever again. He's going to have to think before he does it, or she. But yeah, it's crazy how we, and I did it for a while with my kids, where I wanted to shape them in a certain way, and I forgot that they were kids.
Oh yeah,
you got to let them be kids. You got to let them grow.
Yeah, teach them. There was something I watched that it basically said somebody had it was two parents conversating, and for example, they're both going off to college, and one's nervous.
Yeah,
is a train wreck.
Yeah,
and the one parent asked her, "Why are you not nervous?" She goes, "Because I've instilled the morals that I believe will best fit my child." And if I believe that I've done it to the best of my abilities, it's on them to make actions based off of the morals I taught them.
Damn. Wow. That's powerful, man. That is powerful. Morals, values.
There's a right or wrong way to do things.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously it changes person to person, and as you go through time, it'll change.
Right.
But like he said, if I believe I've done what I can to the best of my abilities, there is no point in worrying.
No, there really isn't. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, you look at ourselves, right? I mean, our parents did the same thing, where they brought us up in a certain way. Yes, there was challenges, this, that, and the other, but they tried to instill in us the values, the moral code, the very fiber of, hey, this is what the expectation is when you're out there, right? Knowing what's right from wrong, which we all know. Every human knows what's right and what's wrong. We just like to always make the wrong decisions to see what happens,
Yeah,
what I mean?
It's a sense of curiosity, I believe.
Yeah, and sometimes it'll whip your ass, but it is what it is. But yeah, there's definitely something you said about morals and values, man. And I think that's something we all need to get back to. You know what I'm saying? Like, people have forgotten how to be just people. You know what I mean?
And treat everyone as such.
Dude, it doesn't cost you anything to say please, to say thank you. It doesn't cost you anything to open up a door for somebody. It doesn't cost you anything to just be civil. You know what I mean? Like, we've forgotten the very fiber of being human, which is just self-respect and to be respectful and just to be civil. And we're in this place right now as individuals and even as a nation where, like, we're trying to solve problems that are up here, and we haven't even.
And we skipped step one.
Yeah, it's like any sport, right? You can't Unless there's people out there who are just super talented who get it. I know there are, but most of us have to start with the fundamentals.
Yeah, most of us don't get the benefit of being a LeBron James, or a Patrick Mahomes. Most definitely. I see. Yeah, I definitely get what you're saying.
So us as a nation trying to like go from not even having the basics figured out to now trying to solve, climate control and all these other things. It's crazy to me. It's crazy. I don't. It's gonna be. It's just a continuous vicious cycle because there's no way you can solve the bigger problems without addressing the smaller things.
Exactly. Well, see, and that's the thing that's really intriguing to me is it's a question of why and how it got that way, because it wasn't always that way.
No.
In the distant past, it was very much so handle like you said the fundamentals. Once we have that in tow, then we can get to, I guess you could say, the advanced part of the world. Yeah,
man. I mean, things used to be simple. I mean, I'm not old by any means. I'm in my 40s, but I remember when things were simple. I remember when, if you had beef with somebody at school, right, you didn't do this bullshit of cyberbullying or group texting and bullying someone or, just being a mean asshole to somebody. Like, if you had a problem with me, hey, man, let's meet under the tree at school after school.
Yep.
Let's figure this out.
Yep.
Once and for all. Now, everybody's got a gun, everybody's got a knife, they've
got the easy route to handle a difficult situation that they would view.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, it's not a difficult situation.
It's not. All it is communication. Like, if I've got a problem with you, right? Instead of taking the coward's way out and trying to get other people to group up and gang up on you, I need to be 100 with you and just be like, hey, man, listen. What happened in the gym or what happened in the lunchroom, whatever it may be, I didn't appreciate that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And hopefully you're a civil person. Hey, man, my bad. Didn't realize.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, too, is it goes back to that respect dynamic. It's not valued the same as it was in the past. I mean, I'm younger, and so when you hear conversations or interactions that people older than you had, you start to kind of come to this realization that, God damn, in a short 40 years, it has taken a complete 180. Because you can see it through the numbers as of more time goes on, there's more shootings, more stabbings, more violent crimes that take place based around altercations between two or more people. Whereas, like you stated, in the past it was, I don't like you, you don't like me, we have a problem, outside, handle it, man, mano y mano, and then from there on in, whoever wins, shakes a hand, goes about their merry way.
We move on. Yeah, we move on. That's the thing, man. Anyone can pick up a gun and shoot somebody, bro. I think it takes a real person, whether man or woman, to be the bigger person, right? And to stand up and say, you know what, I didn't appreciate that, or you know what, I fucked up. My bad. I apologize, right? I mean, when's the last time you heard like people like sincerely like just apologize? You know what I'm saying? Like sincerely mean that they like just are truly sorry for what they put you through, what they did to you, or what they said about you.
Few and far between.
Right. It doesn't happen anymore, man. It doesn't happen anymore.
And and that's why when you see what goes on nowadays, and you can see it in a personal level, you can see it in a global level, you can see it at a nation level. It doesn't carry the same weight as it had. A lot of the problems are because people don't feel respected, and when you don't feel respected, it's like backing a chicken into the cage. Eventually it's going to come out and it's going to fight, and it'll take its easiest. We're trained as humans to take the easiest path to success. And so most times the easiest path to success is via weapon, or like you said, through cyberbullying or collecting a group of people and getting them all on the same motive to where it's no longer one-on-one, it's 5v1.
Right. And you see it, I mean, you see it even in the workplace, brother. You know what I mean? Like, you got the promotion that I wanted. I've been there longer than you. I'm forgetting that we're two different people, right? Just because I've got seniority or I've been there longer and I know my way around doesn't mean that you don't have the capability or the ability of being the newer person who presents new and innovative ways of doing things and certain skills that I probably don't have,
Mm-hmm.
right? So instead of me going, man, Sean, put me up on some game, man, I see you're doing some good things, right? And learning from you,
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather sabotage you,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
Make you look bad.
Yeah, it's easier to compete with somebody that's on one knee.
Right. Exactly. You
Mm-hmm.
know. So yeah, man, we've forgotten just how to be nice to one another, bro. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And I don't know. It's
Yeah, it's crazy because a lot of, like, to go back to the morals that you would instill in like you said, a child, those morals normally from generation to generation don't change very often.
right.
And so if that's the key source of input when you're growing, then why is it in such a short span of time it's almost done a complete 180? Like, what are the forces that cause that sudden shift? Even though there's continuously people, we all have them, a grandparent, an uncle, a mom, that we refer to them as stuck in their ways.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you really get down to the nitty gritty, you realize that the ways they're stuck in are most times the right way. Like you said, treat everybody with dignity, respect, honor. Don't take the easy way.
Nah, man.
Nose to the grindstone. Yet it's taught to easy way, do what you have to do, be selfish at all times. That toes the line of narcissism, and then it continues to build and build and build until it's so much resentment towards the next man.
Well, and that's like you touched on it earlier, brother. Like when an individual, I mean, it's mostly males at this point, but when an individual is not reared correctly, right, or doesn't have that influence in their life that can teach them the morals and sort of the code of conduct, right?
Mhm.
What typically happens is this: that person finds a group to belong to, whether it's online, whether it's in person, whatever it may be, and now those people they basically have the ability to shape this person's I guess view, right?
Mhm.
Not only in themselves but on the world, right?
Very much so.
And that's why you get these situations where it's like, oh, like you said, senseless school shooting. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because this kid didn't know how to deal with being bullied, or this kid didn't know how to deal with being always put down, right?
Mhm.
And got to a point where they had no outlet. They had no one to talk to. You know, they had no way of expressing how they felt
Mhm.
because they felt like maybe they were never heard. But it's usually because they didn't have that rearing, or they didn't have that person or those people in their lives who were like, listen, this is how you deal with issues, right? You don't deal with issues by sitting in your chair one day and realizing and coming to a realization that I don't know how to cope. So because I don't know how to cope, I'm going to make everybody else suffer.
Yep, I'm going to make everybody feel the pain that I
Right.
deal with. Mm-hmm.
Right. You know,
As opposed to just handling the pain.
that's it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, pain makes you stronger, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
you've got to go through pain to get to a place where you are 100% in line and in touch with who you are.
Yeah, and how to adapt to the outside situations. I mean, the saying is cliche and a bit overused, but what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. The greatest teacher is life.
Mm-hmm.
And like you and I spoke about earlier, you'll catch a drift where you're on the way up, you're making a lot of things happen,
Right.
and within a split second, it feels like everything's falling apart.
Everything goes to shit. Yep.
And a lot of times, now granted, I don't want to speak for everybody, but it feels like the time spent getting things together is much shorter than the time spent with things falling apart. And like you said, it's a lot of adapting to outside circumstances, and like you had touched on, really getting to understand how you yourself react to those situations.
Yeah. And, you know, I think it's also got to do with, like, once you go through those things, right? The things where when things are good, things are really good. When things are bad, things are really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like you're being molded, right? It's almost like that metal that you put in the fire, and then you got to hit it and mold it to whatever shape you want.
Yep.
That's how I view it. Once you get to that point where you're molded and you're in touch with yourself, I feel like that's when you can really start the process of not only healing for past hurts, past mistakes, and forgiving yourself. I think that's a big one too.
Mm-hmm.
People hang on to all this baggage and all these mistakes that they made because that's what people have basically spoken into their lives, right?
Mm.
You're a loser. You're never gonna make it, and that's what they live their life according to.
Mm-hmm.
And that has to do with just like self-forgiveness. But you can't get to that point if you don't know who you are, right?
Correct.
And knowing who you are puts you in a place where you can only go up, because that's when you realize that there's people in your life and situations in your life that aren't lined up with where you want to go, right? And that's when you start shedding all that shit. So you start getting rid of all that crap, making that load lighter so you can go up versus being drugged down. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But
Absolutely.
yeah, man, you're right. Like life, yeah. There's no other way. You've gotta go through life to get to where you want to get to.
Mm-hmm.
There's no cheat code. You can't hit A.
Yeah, there's
B,
no
C.
easy way of doing things because, and I've learned through time that the more you fight to find an easy way, you end up working harder than you would had you just done it the hard way to begin with. Because the easy way, like you stated, there is no easy way. You have to climb a hill to see the view. And if you're willing to try and take the shortcut, what's going to happen is you're going to realize that shortcut's not there. Bam. So you spent all that time. You hit the wall. You got to go back right to where you were. And then you go, oh, let me find another shortcut. And then you just, like you said, repeat the cycle. And then eventually, after there's been so much more time, energy exhausted, you come to the realization, fuck, had I just done this the way that everybody else had from the start,
right,
I'd already be at the top of the mountain enjoying the view.
It's like an investment, right? It's like when you want to invest in something or you want to buy something. There's the saying that says you get what you pay for. You know what I'm saying? You can't go and spend Toyota Corolla money and wish for a Bentley. It's not how it works.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? If you're spending Toyota Corolla money, then you're getting a Toyota Corolla, right? And you got to be okay with that. You know what I mean? One of my greatest sort of like mentors, Nelson Mandela, had these not crazy but really good sayings. One of my favorite is, "It's impossible until it's done." Now this is a man who was deep. Wrongfully imprisoned for 27 years for the color of his skin, right? And he could have come out of prison after 27 years being in prison on Robben Island. He could have come out and he could have like literally commanded black South Africans to just decimate and kill every white South African.
Have an axe to grind.
Right. But he came out and taught people how to live. He taught people how to coexist, right? He taught them the very fiber of being a person, right? Hatred aside. You could have easily flipped the script and it would have gone that way because people had that much respect for him. But just a man just ahead of his time, you know what I'm saying? And he's got some other sayings where he says, I climbed this mountain, got to the top, only to realize that there was another mountain to climb. Just like we're talking about, you know what I'm saying? It never ends.
No, it never ends. There's always another one.
The search for excellence isn't found in mediocrity, right? You look at successful people. I think we were talking the other day about Kevin Hart. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's into everything.
Everything.
He's got a food truck, food trucks, his shorts, movies. I've seen him in
87 shows, 15 podcasts.
You know what I'm
everywhere.
saying? Like, and he's not slowing down. He's not slowing down.
Even after the world gave him basically the worst thing you can have, which is flip your car, and then when you come to, you realize, holy shit, I may never be able to walk again. Yeah. And that only that's the kind of the winning mindset, that Mamba mentality. Something that, because it was almost as if there was a sudden flip, a sudden transition. He was doing a lot of stuff prior to that car accident. But what happened after the car accident? It jumped tenfold.
Dude. Yeah, you talk about that Mamba mentality. Like, he went ballistic. Like, I think it's something to do with, like, not only leaving a legacy, but showing people that it's possible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was fortunate enough to wake up from that car accident and be able to walk again. You know what I mean?
Mm.
A lot of people don't get that second chance in life.
Mm.
You know, they've made a mess of their lives up to this point, and that deciding factor, that accident, that whatever that may be,
Yeah, that instance in everyone's life.
life ends
Mm-hmm.
without them getting that second chance. So it's kind of like we need to, as humans, I think, kind of take a step back. You know what I'm saying? Like I was talking about sitting and just spending time with yourself, with whatever you enjoy. Sometimes it's doing nothing. I think it's important to check yourself. You know what I'm saying? Look at where you were, look at where you are, look at where you want to go, and start making decisions in line with that. Like, don't wait till you have some horrific moment in life where now it's life changing, and now you decide that this is the time to do it, right?
Yeah, because most times, I think that's the big thing also that Kevin Hart was he was putting in a lot of work prior to, because I feel like if it was anybody else, you're sitting on your thumbs.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is you have that horrible traumatic event, and yeah, it reinstills in you this kind of belief, I have to get off my ass and get to work. But if you do it prior to leading to, it just reaffirms what you're doing. Whereas if you're not working into that traumatic moment, now you're just starting. And then because everyone knows, it gets to a point where you're run down, you run out of energy, you're tired, you're not motivated. Those moments are used as a reaffirmation, those traumatic events. Because, again, he wasn't where he was prior to the car accident, where he is now. And a lot of that, I believe, is because at a point you don't have the same motivation, you don't have the same drive. I mean, I believe it's the marvelous Marvin Hagler that says it's really hard to get up and work when you're sleeping in satin sheets.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to. No one else is going to line you up for success, right? No one else is going to do that thing that you need to do for you. Like, it's up to you to get it done. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And everyone wants to be a millionaire, right? Everybody wants to be rich. Everybody wants to be successful. Everybody wants to, like, be able to walk into a place and be like, and not have to worry if they have enough money in their account to pay for whatever it is that they want. But no one is willing to put in the work.
Everyone wants to be a millionaire. Nobody wants to work like a millionaire.
That's it. It's a state of mind, man. It's a state of mind.
My simplification of it was, there are people that walk this earth that have an appetite for average, and then there are also those that have all-time ambition, and that's the split. Because most people that don't have that drive, they're completely complacent in the fact that they're going to fit in the 99%. And the ones that have all-time ambition, that are willing to grind till everything is gone, work relentlessly, that's all-time ambition, because you're working to reach a level that 99% of other people will never even get to sniff.
Amen to that. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
And it goes back to taking the easy route. Nobody wants to work.
Yeah. Nobody wants to work, but they want to reap all the benefits of.
And that's why a saying that was so huge has really kind of faded from the page, in that you reap what you sow.
True that, man.
If you're not willing to work, you're not going to get the benefit.
No. But those are the type of people too who then, go around and start saying, "Oh, Sean's a drug dealer," just because Sean has put in the work and I haven't. I now start labeling you, and I now start spreading rumors about you, and now I want what you got, even though I haven't done shit to get to that point.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of me hating on you, and instead of me, spray painting your car or whatever it may be, because my life, when I compare it, when I look over my yard and I look into your yard look better than mine, but I see you out there every day grinding. I see you getting the weeds out of the rocks. I see you, trimming your yard. I've got a lawnmower. I got a trimmer, but I ain't using it. But I'm going to hate on you because your shit looks good and mine don't. You know what I'm saying? I got the tools, right? You're using the tools. I'm not.
And that's the wildest part, is when the people, because there's something to be said for those that don't have the tools, and that you can get a sense of leniency to. But again, how much does it cost to pay attention?
free.
It costs time. And as much as people like to say they don't have the time, it's a situation where Kobe talks about it. Okay, this guy gets up at 6 o'clock. He wakes up at 6 a.m., trains for 2 hours. Okay, then he trains again at 6 p.m., 2 hours. What the fuck is he doing in the middle of the day? And then you listen to Kobe talk about it. Okay, so if I get up at 4 a.m., work for 2 hours, 6, eat breakfast, rest for an hour, back at it at 8 a.m., go till 10. And it's this relentless work. If you make the time, time will be there. But nobody is willing to go to that length. Nobody's willing to spend time, money, effort. It's not the same as it for each individual person.
It's easy to make excuses.
For sure.
Right.
And that goes back to the easy route.
way out. Yeah. It's much easier to make excuses than to actually, get down and get dirty. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hear people talk about, oh, man, I'm old. It's too late. It's never too damn late. There's people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, even 70s getting their master's and doctorate degrees, right?
Benefiting their plan.
You know what I'm saying? All it took was they made that decision. In that moment, they were like, I got to change something, right? I got to change it. And I got to change it now, not tomorrow, not next week. If I want to get to the place that I need to get to, I need to change some shit now. Age has got nothing to do with it. Now, I understand, obviously there's people who are in situations where, they can't do as much as everybody else. But I still feel like everybody can do something. Or find someone who can help you do something.
Yeah, I mean, I live by the philosophy that, and most people won't, but you rest when you die. Okay, now, obviously it's not to be taken entirely literally.
Right.
However, those days where you go, oh man, I'm tired, I don't want to go to the gym. Oh man, I'm tired, I don't want to go to work, or I'm feeling a little under the weather. The people that have that appetite for average go, hey V, I'm not going to be in work today.
Right.
Or, you know what, fuck it, I'll wait 15 minutes, I'm not going to go to the gym. Oh, it's 9:30, shoot, I don't have time to go to the gym. It's those people, whereas the ones that want to put the work in, and it also ties into discipline as well, is
true.
I feel like shit. I don't care. I have a routine. I stick to this routine.
Right.
And then in the back of their mind, it's that mama mentality, which is, if in my oversimplification, is rest when you die. Do everything you can. Exhaust every resource you have for one goal, for one purpose. And it's few and far between. And that's why it's the mama mentality. Not everybody has that.
No.
And there's a reason for that as well. Sometimes you're just put on this earth to be an average Joe. Other times, you're just sitting around with a thumb up your ass, waiting for the stars to align for you to come to that realization. Oh shit, like I'm worth more than what I'm proving myself to be. And once that change flips, it's like a light switch going off.
It is, man. Yeah, you got to live every day like it's your last. Right? We don't control anything.
Exactly.
I could walk out here and literally have a heart attack walking down the stairs. I could get hit by a car. I could, whatever it may be. Right? We waste so much time on the stuff that we can't control. Right? Instead of focusing on the things that we can control.
Yeah, because it's easier to focus on something you don't have to work on. Because like you said, if you can't control it, you can't work on it. It's just easier that way. Like there's another thing that I really kind of identified with, was in a song, was dropping to work on a Monday, fuck it, get hit by a Hyundai, fuck it, let it all go Sunday. You don't know when your card gets pulled.
No.
So what is the reason behind sitting around and waiting? How many times do we talk about, now this more so identifies with professional athletes, but guys that retired too soon, or, oh, he could have been an all-time great, but X, Y, and Z happened, whether it be injury, death, it's situation is situation.
Yeah.
And you see that and you observe that, and then it's just, oh wow, that's crazy. And you don't even identify it with yourself because that's a professional athlete. I'm not 6'8", 280 running a 4.3. That shit doesn't apply to me. But everyone has their own skill set.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a reason there's professional athletes, and there's a reason why there's office workers. LeBron James and Elon Musk have comparable success. One looks like a fucking robot that doesn't look like he could run, period. And the other one looks like he has been chiseled out of granite since birth. But yet they reach the same amount of success. Why is that? Because there is no sense of, I'm just going to sit around and wait. I have that mentality. I have that all-time ambition.
I'm going to go get it. I'm going to go get it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, life's too short, man. Life's too short to not get yourself figured out and to enjoy life. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you see those signs everywhere. It says live, laugh, love.
Yep.
And I think, you know, I can speak for myself. I'm not going to generalize it. For a long time, you know, I'd read that and I'd be like, whatever. And not till, like, you know, I started getting older, I started seeing the value in that kind of stuff. Just living, right?
Yeah,
you know,
just being.
A friend of mine I always go camping with, like him and I, like sit up till like 2-3 in the morning just by a campfire and just like talk about life. And one of our last camping trips, he asked me this question, and he was like, if there's one thing that you could change, like right now, just today, that would impact the rest of your life, what would that be? And it was crazy because I think he expected me to kind of sit there and be like, and obviously something I was thinking about at some point. And I literally said to him, being in the moment. And he sat there and he was like, what? And I was like, being in the moment. I was like, how many times do we find ourselves in a situation where we're not fully invested in that moment? Something as simple as if someone comes into my office to talk to me, right? And they have something that's pretty personal or something they need to get off their chest. And I'm sitting there on my phone, you know, oh yeah, go ahead, Sean. Yeah. What's up? Yeah. I'm not being in the moment. I'm not being real with you at that point. I'm not making you feel like you're important. I'm not investing myself or my time in that situation.
Yeah.
And those situations sometimes are the situations that could be life-changing, not just for you or for me.
But for,
you know what I'm
anyone.
saying? But for anyone, right? So that's what I said to my friend, was like being in the moment. Those moments where, unfortunately, time doesn't stop, right? You can't rewind time. We can't get time back. So every moment that you find yourself in, learn from it, appreciate it.
And enjoy it when you can.
And some moments aren't for you, which is fine. But if you can get something out of any sort of like interaction you have with somebody or any situation you find yourself in, whether good, bad, difficult, easy, whatever it may be, being in that moment, I think, at least for me, is critical. It's critical to my very being, my very existence. It's critical to where I'm trying to get to. You know what I mean? And I don't need $1 billion. I just need to be comfortable. I need to be comfortable. I need to know that my family's taken care of. I'm good. I've got a good group of friends. There's people that I enjoy. There's people I like having conversations with. You know, it's not asking for a lot. You know what I'm saying?
And it's just aligning that focus and work ethic.
It is.
Like you said, it's a sense where when you know what you like, you'll go out and try and achieve that, and that's where you align those goals and your drive. But like you were stating, to enjoy the moment, it's a very cliche saying, but stop and smell the roses, and everyone scoffs at it. What the fuck does that even mean? What if I'm in a situation that seems so doom or gloom that I can't get myself out of bed? There's something to gain from that. You're not stopping and smelling the flowers. You're stopping and sensing the shit. You're reminding, and then you can use that for the rest of your life when you start to see the build up, the lead up to that moment where you're like, oh, I need to stop. I need to do something now. Otherwise, I'm going to be back sitting in my shit.
Right.
So it goes both ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a lot of it is, let's make it sound good. Nobody wants, there's no true realism in it. It's always the Cinderella story. But there's never a story that's widely documented about the guy that fights relentlessly through the stuff. The Prince Charming, you might say.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that he has to fight so and so. He's got to go through the wicked forest, and he's got to fight the dragon and climb the 200-foot tower. That's the part of the story that gets totally left out. But yet, at the end of the story, they both end up in the same place.
Right.
So that's something that I kind of, it's taken time to realize, because I identify more with the guy that fights through the bullshit.
Yeah.
And I would say for the vast majority of people, men and women alike, we all can identify in that story.
Mm-hmm.
Because the only people that get to sit in the fucking tower and wait for Prince Charming are either fucking delusional or have had it made since long before they were born.
Right. Right. They're just good. They're taken care of. Yeah. Yeah. And I think there's also something to be said about being real, right? Too many times we get caught up in these phases where we want to tell people what they want to hear versus telling them the truth. And it works both ways, right? They say the truth hurts. When someone's real with you and they're just like, yo man, look, you smell bad or you stink, like, there's no nice way to say that.
No.
Right. And it hurts because you're like, oh shit, how long has this been going on? Why has no one ever told me?
Yep.
And that, I mean, that can be said about any moment in anyone's life. I think being real, not just to yourself, but to the people that you say you care about, I think goes a long way. They may not like you for you being honest with them, but in the long run, it's going to help them out.
Yeah, but and then when they come to that realization, they start to, that initial reaction you always have to take with a grain of salt, especially in a situation like that, because they're automatic. For one, they're caught off guard, they're offended, they're hurt, like you said.
Yeah.
But then when they sit down and they go, okay, there's a few things I got to change.
Right.
There's, in a short period of time, there's a sense of appreciation they have for you, because had you not said something, how much longer does that particular thing go on?
Right. Right.
So they go, okay, you know what? It hurt my feelings at first, but thank you. Otherwise, I would have continued to smell like shit for the next 5 years, or until somebody told me, "Hey, bro, you stink like shit."
Right, right. It's like not to like give women a hard time. It's like when women dress up to go out, and one of your friends comes out just looking really just suspicious, like just doesn't look good, and you roll with it. You let her go out like that because it makes you look better. You know what I'm saying? Your friend looks like shit, so she's not gonna get no attention.
Yeah, you're not worried about it because it means more for you.
You made sure that you looked tight when you left the house, but you can let your girlfriend or you can let your friend walk out looking like trash. You know what I mean?
It's even that way with guys, though.
It is. Yeah.
You go out and you're like, okay. And I think it's a little bit different for guys because the competitive edge is a bit more dominant in males than it is in females.
Right.
So when you collect yourself with a group of men that all share the same goal, and I'm sorry, every male shares the same goal. When we're going out, we're trying to get laid. So you go out and you pick up your boy, and your boy's like wearing some raggedy ass shit, and you're just like, hey, get your ass back in the house. That's not gonna fly. Because because the perception changes. There could be 5 fly guys and one dude that's looking a little rough. Those 5 guys already already are discounted because they let that one guy leave looking rough.
Right. No, definitely, man. Definitely. It's crazy. It's crazy how we don't realize, back to talking about the small things, right, that become big things, you know what I mean? And just there's something to be said about, just like I said, just being real, just being honest, man. We're like, look, man, your breath stink. You need to go back and brush your teeth. You know what I mean? Like taking care.
That would hurts more than the stink would. I'll be honest. That would hurts more than the stink would.
I just, you got to take care of your fellow man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, why let a brother or a sister or a friend or whatever, like, portray themselves in a way that
you know is less
right,
than.
right, and it discounts them out of whatever it is you got going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is especially when it pertains to like going out in public and the bar scene, the dating scene, et cetera, just being out in public in general, where the consensus is going to be out, and the first few things it always is smell, sight, sound. Those are normally your first three things you pick up on. You don't want your boy to look like shit. You don't want him to smell like shit, and you definitely don't want him to talk like a fool.
Nope.
And the thing to that point is, you have to be responsible for that, because sometimes you don't realize, as that person maybe, that you brush your teeth. It's not like you can, like that doesn't really work.
No.
So
you're biased.
You're biased. You become accustomed to that.
You
smell.
figure you always smell good. You always look good.
Yeah,
you know
you always think that.
Yeah.
And so it comes down to the accountability of the people you surround yourself with. And the other thing to that point is, and this is where I really have a difference of opinion, especially with people my age, is there's a saying, real recognize real, and you hear people talk about, I would appreciate somebody being totally blunt with me as opposed to beating around the bush and making me feel good. But then you tell them something they're doing wrong, and they fucking flare up, and no, I don't do this, I don't do that.
Yeah.
And you're like, hold on. 20 minutes ago, you told me you would rather me be honest with you than if I bullshitted you. Now it's just seeming like you want to hear what sounds good.
It's because people always ask for the truth until you give them the truth. Right? People don't. It's back to like people say things that they want other people to hear. Like don't ask for something that when it's presented to you, you now want to fluff your chest and rise
shy
up.
Away from.
Like if you are being 100 with me and you're like, hey man, listen, I need you to be real with me. And I ask you, I'm like, listen, are you sure you want me to be real with you? Yeah, man, I want you to be real with me. It's like the trap that men always fall into, right? Hey, babes, does this make me look fat?
And it's for women as well. And that's funny you bring that up, because I'll speak on behalf of every man that has ever walked the planet. When they ask you that question, fucking leave.
Don't answer the question.
There's no right answer. There's
trap.
no right answer, because you say, yeah, babe, you look good. And they're like, well, does this make that? And now you don't know the answer to the next question. And it continues and continues, because they're searching for you to say something wrong or something they don't approve of. And you're like, you still come out looking like the bad guy, even though I said your ass looks fat in that dress.
And then it turns into some shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like if your girl or your wife or whatever has done something new, like cut their hair, and they walk in and be like, hey, Sean, do you notice anything different?
See, that's the biggest trap. That's worse than asking if I look good in something.
Yeah, it's like how do you answer that? You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like what women need to do is tell us what it is you want us to say, right?
Absolutely.
Because there's nothing once we open up our mouths and we answer that question, there's no way to dig ourselves out of that hole.
No, as soon as you fuck up, your best bet is to apologize. You say your answer and you go, I apologize, because they tell you, for instance, in that occasion, I've had that myself, where you notice anything different, and you go, yeah, you cut your hair. What, did you not like my long hair?
Yeah, right.
You just asked me what I noticed. That's the change I noticed.
Right.
It doesn't mean that I appreciate your short hair more than your long hair. I'm just telling you what fucking changed.
I'm answering the question that you asked me. You know what I'm saying?
That's why I say just turn around and run. Do the benefit.
Nah,
they say
real.
happy wife, happy life. Let me tell you.
Bro.
Is there really ever such a thing as a happy wife?
Nah.
You would know better than I. I'm not a married man. So.
Nah, man. No. You can live your whole life as a married man, trying to make sure that saying happy wife, happy life comes to fruition, and you'll kill yourself trying. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just it's never good enough, or it's never to the point that they wanted it to be.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
they expect a certain answer to certain questions, and us as men, we're wired through time to be very straight to the point and respond in the way that we feel. Like a big thing that I've noticed with a lot of men is your significant other comes home from work and they start ranting to you, is how I would put it.
Mm-hmm.
Us as men, we're wired to, let's find a situation. Whereas women, in that moment, they just want to rant. They want to talk about the shit they're dealing with. But us as men, we're wired, well, why don't you do this?
Yeah.
Why don't you that?
Mm-hmm.
Let's get
We're
you
problem
out of that
solvers.
situation. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You brought a problem to my table.
Yep.
I'm going to solve it.
I'm going to solve it for you.
And then they don't want you to solve it.
No, and then they get pissed off when you're like, well, but why would you want to continue to live in this cycle? Wouldn't it just be easier for you just to solve it now?
Yeah, and I'm tired of hearing the shit every time you come home.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like
that as much as trying to be a problem solver.
It's like, what happened today, babes? Like, you don't ask those questions.
Nope. Nope.
You know, it's
a trap.
It is, man, and it's the, you know, the way, like you just touched on, the way men and women communicate, right? Men have the ability to disconnect from emotion.
Mm.
That's just something we're wired with. We can just totally just take the emotion out of the equation and just figure something out. Either care or don't care, right?
Yeah.
We also have the ability to think about shit like nothing. You know?
That's a big one too.
Yeah.
You and I have had several conversations
Hey,
about
babes,
this.
what are you thinking about? Nothing. And then you get this look.
Yeah, because you ask them that same question and they say nothing, and you know they're thinking about something, but it's about you and they don't want to tell you.
Yeah.
Whereas us, I'm just staring at the fucking wall. I don't even know what's going on right now.
What you see me doing is what I'm doing. Like, that's it.
I
Like,
encourage every man that has that moment where they just stare at the wall, make a stupid ass face, because then when they ask you, what are you thinking about? I'm zoned out. They can't question zoned out. That was the trick I learned, was I sit there and I'm just staring and I make a normal face. What you thinking about? I'm not thinking about anything. Bullshit. You're probably thinking about this, that, and the third. Who is she? As soon as I started doing the whole, you're zoned out. Not really, but
yes.
Yes.
Yes. To save myself from any further. Yes.
Yes.
I'm zoned out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I won't argue with you.
No, man. It's like you can spend your whole life trying to make your female companion happy in whatever way, shape, or form, brother. And
it's a very futile task at times.
It is, man. It is. You know, and I don't know. I mean, as men, are we that desperate, like, to keep, like, you know, they keep doing the same thing over and over again? I believe that's the definition of insanity, right?
Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
Yeah. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It goes back to what we were talking about, having that conversation. You know what I'm saying? Sitting down and actually having that open line of communication and saying, hey, listen, when you ask me a question, I'm going to answer the question. When you come to me with a problem, I'm going to solve the problem.
Exactly.
Now, if you don't want me solving the problem, or you don't want me listening,
tell me leading into it.
Tell me right before we start this bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
So and tell me again halfway through, because I'm a little slow.
Right. So I know what I'm walking into. You know what I'm saying? No one wants to be trapped. You know, I don't want to be brought into a situation and feel like I'm presenting my best self to try and help you out, only to find out that
that's not what you need in that moment.
You're gonna storm off and be mad at my ass for me just being me. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And that can be said in, you know, we talked about in any situation, whether it's male, female, female, more pronounced, obviously.
The male, female, absolutely.
Because you got the relationship dynamic of that and all that stuff, and you got to live.
And
with
it's
this
a little
person.
bit different even when it's intersex relationships as well. Is most of the time, and I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. I'm not part of either group. But somebody ends up taking a dominant role in a subdominant role, a submissive role.
Yeah.
And it still conforms to that dynamic. And it goes back to a situation where some people aren't willing to take certain aspects or certain opinions the same way they are the ones they had preconceived. Like if you go in like and that I think that's a big thing, especially with the what we were just talking about with, hey, how do I look? Hey, what do you notice that's changed? They go into that with a preconception of your response, something they've already idealized. When you don't conform to that, it upsets them. And that's where the conflict, the difference in opinion, and then depending on how intelligent we are in that moment, how aware we are of, oh shit, okay, don't say what we would say to the boy.
Yeah.
Like, handle this with fucking 8-ounce gloves. We're going at this very carefully. We have to conform to that. But then that also goes to a different dynamic in relationships, in the fact that nobody reads minds. Contrary to popular belief, especially among the female population. I don't know what the fuck you're thinking about. I'm going to be totally honest as man. I don't even know what the fuck I'm thinking about.
Right.
I'm staring at a wall, not having any idea what's going on.
Yet you want me to respond to you in the way that you
didn't state how you wanted me to respond.
Right.
That's a big thing as well also.
Right. I mean, like Cat Williams said, man, in one of his standouts, he was talking about how, you got these women that walk around and always blaming dudes for, fucking up their self-esteem. And he goes, it's your motherfucking self-esteem. How am I going to fuck up how you feel about you? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I understand in that moment, it's stand up, it's funny, but it's real.
There was a line said, it's J. Cole, all good jokes contain some truth in it. Comedians adapt to the way of time. So everything they state, the way they frame it is in a hilarious manner.
Right.
But they're still making a valid point.
Right.
They're still talking about something and touching on something that's highly important in that moment. It's just the way you frame it, and that goes back to perception. How do you perceive each individual thing? Yeah.
We're too busy laughing at the jokes to realize, wait, there's got to be some truth to that. Like, where did you get that from? Well, I've heard that before, in a different way.
And you know what? And I think that's a really big reason why comedy, A, has blown up, and B, why comedy is so important in society as a whole. I mean, it's been a part from the beginning of time. You got jesters, and now we have stand-up comedians. The best comedians, like for instance, I think for most people, the consensus is Dave Chappelle is the greatest comedian that will ever grace this planet.
That's the GOAT right there.
He talks about certain things in manners to which both it's hilarious, but as soon as you walk out, you start to think about what that joke was about, and not the joke per se, but what the joke contained. I mean, he gets a lot of flack because he's the guy on the forefront of jokes that contain more real shit than anybody else.
Right. He touches on the things that nobody wants to talk about.
No.
Right. And he speaks his mind. You know what I mean? And people have come to respect that. That's why his shows always sell out now.
Yeah.
You know
that's
what I'm saying?
that's why he can get offered $50 million from Comedy Central for the Dave Chappelle show, and he can turn around and go, no thanks. Walk away and then start doing free shows in Seattle, just pulling up with a mic and a speaker and have a fucking park jam-packed. Nobody's even seeing who's doing it. You can hardly hear what's being said, but somebody at the center of that said, fucking Dave Chappelle's here.
And he was labeled crazy for all that stuff.
Absolutely.
They said he lost his mind.
But it's a sense of awareness. He understands self-worth. He knows as soon as you sign that away, you no longer get to dictate what your content is about.
You're owned. Someone else owns you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I remember him talking about his trips to Africa and just realigning himself, and the fact that he has no ambition to make money off of this.
Right.
That he's here because he loves doing it. And not only that, I give Dave a lot of credit in the fact that he teaches so many people through such a unique manner that you can't help but respect that.
Yeah, you got to, man. If you're the kind of person like we talked about earlier, who's in touch with like your star player, which is you. Those sort of things that Dave talks about, even though some of them may hit you a certain way, you are of the mind that you can look at that and be like, okay, Dave said that. I didn't like that he said that, but he said this for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
What is that reason? And the investigation starts.
Right. And Dave's found his niche, man. He's found his niche. He's found his passion. He's found a way to present it in such a way that he doesn't care if you don't show up. He doesn't care if you don't want to buy his tickets.
He'll perform in front of 2 people for all he gives a shit.
No. You know, he's you know, you were talking about him realigning himself. We talked about it earlier. Spending the time and getting away from all the bullshit, all the busyness of life, and getting in touch with you and figuring out what makes you tick, what makes you live, laugh, love, what excites you, and going after that versus getting involved in all the bullshit and all the rumors and this person is saying this about you and trying to discount that. Like, that only shortens your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it weighs. When you and that kind of touches into the saying, when you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And that's not just a career path. But if you carry yourself every day doing something you enjoy, whether that's, you know what, I love being around my family. As much time as I can be around my family, I'm going to go and do that. You're not going to, every day is going to feel like the best day you've ever had. And I really truly feel like that's where he's at in his life. And not only just him, but people that are highly successful, guys like Dave Chappelle, Joe Rogan, Burt Kreischer, Tom Segura, Andrew Schulz, LeBron James. You go on, Patrick Mahomes. Name whoever you so see fit.
Yeah.
You ask these people, and you really get to sit down and have a conversation with them and go, do you feel like you've ever worked a day in your life? And I would be willing to bet my life on the fact that every time, 9 times out of 10, they're going to look at you and go, no, never worked a day in my life because I love what I do.
Yeah, I've enjoyed my life. Yeah. No, it's real, man. It's real. And, you know, I don't know what it'll take for all of us to kind of come to that realization. I think, you know, it starts with self-realization. Being able to look in the mirror and being able to say, man, I messed up today. Oh, man, I did good today. Like having a conversation with yourself, right? And trying to figure out what you can do differently, right? We talked about the Mamba mentality. I mean, Kobe always spoke about how he wanted to be better the next day than he was the day before.
And not competing with anybody but himself.
That's it. That's it, you know. It took me the longest time to like come to that realization. You know, you'd go to the gym and you'd see all these big buff guys and you'd be like, I want to be like that. Then you end up hurting your ass because you're trying to do stuff that you've never done before because you think you're going to get the same results as this dude. You don't know where his mindset's at. You know, you don't know why he's working out that hard. Maybe that's his livelihood. He's a bodybuilder. You don't know all that. Yeah,
and I think a lot of that, there's actually a theory about it. It's the poppy seed theory. In the fact that most now this only applies to certain mental health disorders, speaking from experience, a big one for anxiety is you don't compare yourself, like you were saying, to the day before or the minute before. If you live that way, the baggage that you carry with every day starts to dissipate because you're no longer competing with the expectations of society, but also the expectations of yourself. Because if you go into that, like you said, you're 5'6", you're fucking 72 pounds soaking wet, and you walk into the gym and you decided that morning, I'm going to start working out. And then you walk in and the first fucking guy you see is The Rock, you're going to go, how the fuck, like, I got to be that? No. When you change that mindset and you go, no, I have to be better than I am right now, tomorrow.
And then keep doing that every day.
Every day, you're going to end up looking like him as opposed to I have to be him. Because when you're not seeing those results initially, immediately, and over that period of time, you're going to start to become less motivated. You're going to start body shaming. You're going to start building anxiety. You're going to start getting nervous going to the gym, thinking, well, he's paying attention to me. I can guarantee you, Ain't nobody fucking paying attention to you if you're 5'6", 72 pounds.
No one gives a shit.
No. And not only that, nobody generally gives a shit, period.
Because it's crazy how, we either put ourselves into situations or go into situations, kind of like we touched on this when we're talking about male, females, and relationships. But even just as people, we have this preconceived notion before we go into a situation as to how it's going to work out, how it's going to unfold. And the moment it doesn't work out that way,
you fold. Yeah. You're out.
You become like, you
disenchanted with the thought of doing it again.
Right. But the problem is you set yourself up for failure, right? You just got to walk in, open mind, ready to learn, ready to meet people, ready to whatever it may be, and just approach it that way. Like, don't put all this, additional pressure on yourself because you want things to go a certain way. I mean, the people who are successful, whether it's businessmen, sports players, when they're met with a difficult situation, they don't say, "Hey, coach, sub me out," right? They get the team together and they
bite down on the mouth guard.
This is what we're going to do. Feed me the ball. I'm going to feed you the ball. If something's not working, let's figure out a different way to get it to work rather than give up, right?
Yeah, find a different path of success.
Dude, there's many ways. What do they say? There's many ways to skin a cat. I think is what they say. And that's true, man. That's true. Just because one door closes don't mean any other doors are closed, right? You've just got to be able to look up, right?
Yep,
keep your
pay
head
attention.
Up. Yeah.
Yep.
Instead of walking,
keep your head up.
Yeah, instead of walking down and looking at your feet because you were embarrassed at the last meeting, or you were, you feel like you were shortchanged or whatever it may be. You know what I mean? But that also cuts into that self-confidence aspect, right? You got to be confident in yourself. Right?
Yeah, self-belief.
Yeah. I mean, there's been many situations, I'm sure you can relate, where I've got into a situation where I don't know shit about shit, but I present it like I do. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
I present it like I do.
I don't know what the fuck is gonna happen, but hey, because if you go into a situation, it's a very bizarre dynamic, and you hear about this with a lot of professional athletes as well.
Yeah,
is the Super Bowl. It's your first time in the Super Bowl. You go in with this preconceived notion that, all right, this is how I'm gonna play. This is how this is gonna go. And they suck ass. You listen to Tom Brady, who's got more fucking Super Bowls than I care to acknowledge. He talks about every time he goes into it, he has no preconceived notion because it only is your downfall. When you don't know what's going on, yet you look like you know what's going on, one, you instill confidence in the people around you that you are the one that leads the charge and you know what the fuck is going on. And also, you don't box yourself into a situation where you go, oh shit,
I got no other house.
What the fuck is going on? Like, I have no clue what's going on.
Yeah, no, real talk, man. Real talk.
Yeah, it's so much about the mental side of things. Like, it really carries more weight than anyone, for that matter, is willing to acknowledge.
Yeah. I mean, back in the day, I remember like middle school maybe, you had these teachers that always tell you your attitude determines your latitude.
Oh, I see. I never heard that.
Yeah,
that's
attitude
powerful.
Determines your latitude. You know what I'm saying? How you perceive things and how you see yourself is what's going to determine whether you're going to go up or
go down,
go straight down. You know what I'm saying? But back to like what we're saying, like there's so many things in life, situations, experiences, signs, things we've been a part of where things have been said and we've taken them too lightly, I guess, instead of being vested in that moment and kind of breaking it down, like asking people those questions. Hey, why did you say that? What does that mean? Finding a way to make it applicable for your own existence.
Exactly.
And not everything is going to be applicable. Some things will, some things won't. But yeah, it is what it is, man.
And that's the thing. That is a saying that I entirely live by. It is what it is. Because some people will say you're shortchanging the situation. No. The first it is you acknowledging quite literally the situation at hand. What it is means you've accepted the situation at hand. There is no shortchange in that process. And there was somebody, I'm not sure how in the know you are, but there's a guy in the UFC, Max Holloway. That's what he lives by. He loses a fight. It is what it is. Yeah. It's fucking done.
Yeah, I can't change it.
What's the point in sitting here exhausting energy figuring out, well, oh shit, I should have done this. Oh shit, I should have done that. No. Take your licks, keep on ticking.
Yeah, learn from it and apply it to the next fight. You know what I'm saying? Time doesn't wait for nobody, bro. You can't change something that's already occurred. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, nobody knows fucking time travel. If somebody does, I would love to know.
You and me both. You and me both.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, and that's why me as an individual, I have a tendency to identify more so with quotes than action. And I feel like through this conversation I've learned that you identify this in the same manner.
Yep.
I really live by a sense of quotes. It is what it is. If you really understand what's going on, you're going to start to identify what quotes that apply to you. One that really was my first one that kind of opened me, a few that really opened me to the idea of taking more weight in quotes than what we're trained to believe in, is knowledge is to know a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is to know a tomato doesn't belong in fruit salad.
Ooh. Ooh.
Or Shaquille O'Neal's, the wisest man in the room knows he's not the wisest man in the room.
Those are some serious quotes, man.
Like, because knowledge is only applicable in certain situations. Knowledge will only get you so far. It's how it can play an important role in your day-to-day, your essence.
Yeah.
And then for the Shaquille O'Neal one, Jesus Christ, you're talking about one of the most powerful people in the world. On the same train as Kevin Hart, has his hands in everything, is one of the greatest basketball players of all time.
He used to break rims, bro. He used to shatter rims.
He's got a tree in his backyard that has the rims that he tore off basketball hoops.
They had to reinforce rims when
he
was playing.
They changed rules.
Yeah.
They changed the dynamic. They changed how basketball hoops were formed. It used to just be the basketball hoop was bolted to the backboard, and now it's through the backboard. There was never a spring on a basketball hoop.
No.
Now there is, because there's people that shit. If Shaq can do it, I can do it. Right. I mean, I'm sorry. Anybody that plays basketball, one of your first goals is I want to dunk, and then your second goal is I want to rip a rim off of a basketball hoop.
I want to shatter that motherfucker. Yeah. No doubt, man. Yeah, no doubt. You know, one of the things I always, every morning, kind of remind myself is, I don't know if you've heard of the Serenity Prayer, where it says, God grant me the serenity to know the things I can change and to accept the things that I can't, and the wisdom to know the difference. You know what I'm saying?
I know the full quote on that one, and oh my God, that is so powerful,
dude. It's any situation you walk into, any situation, you know, you've got to be okay with accepting that there's things that you can't control, and there's things that you can't. So focus on the things you can control. Don't worry about the things that you can't. But the important underlying factor there is you've got to know the difference. You know what I'm saying? You've got to know the difference.
Absolutely. And that's because you're exhausting energy if you don't know, if you can't acknowledge the difference. And I've learned that they say time is money, but if you don't have the energy to move through time, what weighs more? What's more powerful, a god or a king?
Oof. Damn.
The time's there. My energy and motivation is not. So then at that point, time becomes null and void because I'm doing nothing with it.
And I can't get it back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the only time you can make use of that time is if you have the energy for it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's so incredible to sit back and look at quotes. Because I'm sorry, you're not going to get a quote from somebody that's not successful. They may quote something, but you're not ever going to fucking hear about it. The only people you're ever going to hear a quote about is people that have been there, done that.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, the Nelson Mandelas, the Nipsey Hussles, the Shaquille O'Neals,
Denzel
so on,
Washingtons,
so forth.
Yeah.
Like it's only people that are in the know.
And they share these quotes, man. They're free.
They're free.
They're free.
Do with them as you may choose.
Like, listen to them. Don't. My suggestion would be, you don't have to listen to every single one, but
See what ones work for you.
What's that?
I said, see which ones work for you.
Yeah. And it's got to do with, in part, just being realistic. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't do everything you want to do in one day. You know what I'm saying? You've got to get into a rhythm. You got to get into a flow, right? Do what works for you, not what works for your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your wife, whatever. I'm not saying don't be civil and don't be in the moment, but the end game is you got to make sure that you are taking care of yourself, whatever that may look like. I mean, it's a camping trip, maybe it's a long drive, whatever. Maybe it's sitting back and smoking a blunt. I don't care. You do you. But we need to get back to the beginning of things, man. We need to get back to just the grassroots. So
Yeah, too many steps in the wrong direction will lead you down the wrong path.
Amen to that.
And that's why poetry is such a big deal, in my opinion. It's almost, in a sense, a series of quotes. When you really kind of get into it. And the other thing that's the benefit of poetry as well is it's a situation where it's so subjective that you and I may read the exact same poem. What you took the most importance in or what you valued may be entirely different than what I myself valued or viewed as important.
Yeah.
And so poetry is a big thing. Quotes are powerful, but it's again to each their own. Find what works for you. Put one foot in front of the other, nose to the grindstone, and like you said, enjoy the finer things in life.
And be okay with that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Be okay. Like I've literally given myself a goal of if I can learn one thing. If I can do something different or learn something new every day, or even impact one person's life, even that person being me, then I've done something that day. I've been productive.
Yep.
I've achieved something. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
Trying to do 20 different things at the same time, you end up not doing anything at all. Now you got 20 things that are either halfway done or half-assed done. You know what
exactly.
I mean? Focus on one thing.
And almost always with the wiring of society, it's just half-assed done.
Yeah, focus on one thing, prioritize that thing, and just get out there and get it, man.
Well, I appreciate it, V. I'm
Yes,
sure
sir.
you have things to do, seeing that it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But yeah, I appreciate it. We'll do it again.
Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate the cigar.
Of course, anytime.
But yeah, I'll see you Tuesday.